Shalom. So this is gonna be part two. I decided to dig a little deep, not deep at all actually. I decided to to touch on this because I just have a lot more things that I want to do with my time than to speak about this. But when I find things that I like, I decide to make a video about it. So this is just one of those things. Maybe people don't understand how mind control, repetition, and cults actually work. And this is a very short and sweet video, so I'm gonna play it.
But it wasn't only with Adolf Hitler. Today such cults exist as well. There was Jim Jones in Guyana. There was Bhagwan Rajneesh in Oregon. There is the cult worship. The following of a man as God is as real today in our world as it has ever been.
Whenever a man boasts themselves up, whenever a man has a spirit of arrogance, as we went in part one, that is the spirit of Semihaza. That's the spirit of I am a god. Right? I am God as a man. You're pretty much saying that you are the son of the Most High. And this is what all of these people have in common. They all say the same thing. They all boast themselves up with some sort of title. You will get smacked down. And that is a threat. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about repetition. But anyway, let's finish this video.
However, there's also other kinds of cult worship as well that we don't really recognize as such. The way that teens and young people idolize their rock stars and their music stars show the devotion and the wave of euphoria that people can get caught up in. This is the kind of society, this is the kind of allegiance that the Antichrist is going to...
This is why you stay to the precepts. You don't you don't go by what you're feeling, because your feelings can lie to you. The precepts aren't going to lie to you. The precepts are going to smack you down. The precepts are going to humble you. And that's why you need to study. And for a person to tell you, don't study, what are they telling you? They're pretty much, when they say don't study, they're saying don't leave. No, where are you going? Follow me. Me. This is my church. What do you mean?
This is the kind of following that a rock star can only dream of having. If people will follow an Adolf Hitler the way they have, if they'll follow music stars the way they have, how are they going to follow a man with all power and signs and lying wonders? It is that wave of euphoria that will be the basis of the rise of the mark of the beast.
See, people, they arrogantly believe, oh, people just follow Jim Jones because they're stupid. They don't believe it can happen to them. I'm gonna show you who it can happen to. It's not about how smart you are. It comes from a lack of faith. That's where it comes from. And it comes, honestly, from you trusting in man, which comes from a lack of faith, if I think about it. Yes. But anyway, I wanted to also go over this video.
When we see Pleiadian ships, we see a sphere of light, because...
Hello! I'm so blessed to have those magical workings. And that is the use of trifectors and the use of repetition. Mm-hmm. I hear you. I know. She's over here nodding because she's got something to say about it. Let's let Dana tell us what she's got to say.
What you got to say? Oh, bonjour. Yeah, actually, it's more so repetitions than trifectas. I love using repetitions in my I like doing knot spells, things like that, which you've got not only just the act of tying the knot however many times, which is repetitive, but you have the chant that you're doing, which is repetitive. But yeah, whenever I'm doing workings, I have a couple different chants that I'll do, and I chant it over and over and over and over again. I don't have a certain number that I'm working with. I'm just repeating it and building power, because that's why I do it. I feel like it's building that energy. It's building that power. And I wait until I have this, I call it that.
What did Semihaza do? He kept talking about how smart he was and how much he knew, right? He practiced repetition. It's the same way I practice repetition, but I do it in a righteous way. I'll repeat things that are precepted. You know, you can look them up yourselves, and even so, I'm not even doing it in the same way that other people do it. I don't do it in arrogance. You know, I do it as so you can remember it, not so you can follow it. Because right after I say this is my opinion, I say it before every video. You will never catch me say this is a fact. I will never say that because I don't have any facts. The Most High has all the facts. Like my brother says, let the creator be the creator. Right? Let us play our role. Let's all get on our roles. Let's stop trying to be the son of the Most High. Let's stop trying to be the creator. But yes, repetition is very powerful. So someone who is repeating themselves over and over and over and over again, especially about who they are and what their church is, and if you are part of this church, then you're in the kingdom. When you say things like that, you're gonna get some sort of euphoric feeling out of people. You're gonna make them feel like, wow, I'm a part of this, and you know, and anyone who isn't, they're going to hell. You think that's Semi Haza, or is that a no cassette? Okay. But yeah, you know, people they don't read, they don't know how to think for themselves, and they're caught up in something. And honestly, what you're going to have this person to reveal himself to be a man, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. But it's your own fault. You didn't listen to the precepts. You didn't love the precepts. You didn't love the Most High more than you loved man. No one is going to get you into the kingdom. No one. Anyone. That's why every time someone says that, oh, we're going to walk into the kingdom together, you're a liar. And honestly, you're coming in the spirit of wickedness. We all have our individual paths. There is no we. We help us as individuals get to our created purpose. We don't go anywhere. We don't walk hand in hand anywhere. This is an individual thing. If there's any we, then maybe it's you and your rib, you and your wife, maybe, but not even that, really, if I'm being honest with you. But that's on very rare conditions, because very few men actually get to be with their ribs, to be with their wives, their actual wives. Very few men get to do that. But that would probably be the only exception. Other than that, no. I'm going there by myself. You're going there by yourself. Stand on your own too, and depend on the only thing and only one that matters. Stop listening to men. Stop being weak. It's pathetic, honestly. It's very pathetic. Now we're going to get into some articles. This is a book you can get, Brainwashing, The Science of Thought Control. Is a popular science book in 2004 explaining mind control, which is also known as brainwashing, through reform and corrosive persuasion. It explains the neurological basis and reasoning and cognition in the brain, and proposes that the self is changeable, while describing I always mess up this word, physiology and neurological pathways. Let me see. Now let's move down. Okay, here we go. She explains the neurological basis for reasoning and cognition in the brain, and brings the point across that the self itself is changeable. She describes the physiology behind the neurological pathways, which include webs of neurons containing dendrites, axons, and synapses, and explains that certain brains with more rigid pathways will be less susceptible to new information or creative stimuli. You know, so people who are very rigid, you know, they don't really get into cults like that. But the issue is that they don't progress either. And ironically enough, if they're already in a cult and they become rigid, they're not leaving. So it's a double-edged sword, and honestly, it just doesn't make sense to be rigid. It only makes sense to be rigid in the Most High. But if you're rigid in wickedness, that's worse than being whimsical, honestly, because at least you can still be swayed. But you have turned your new wine into old wine if you are rigid and think you know everything and think you can't be corrected and you're above that. No one is above correction. No one. Definitely not me, man. Definitely not me. Taylor utilizes neurological science to show that brainwashed individuals have more rigid pathways, and that rigidity can make it unlikely that the individual will rethink situations or be able to later reorganize these pathways. So there you go. Once the brainwashing occurs, it's very hard to undo. That's why it says in the scriptures, be new again, right? And if you can't, honestly, then he's going to have to clear you away. If you're not being humble, what do you think is going to happen to you? If there's anything that you're struggling with, anything you can't let go, hey, this is now is the time, man. You're wasting a lot of time. Wasting a lot of time if you are still hung up on certain things that you're dealing with. That's a you problem, and you're making it into everyone else's problem when it's a you problem. She explains that repetition is an integral part of brainwashing techniques because connections between neurons become stronger when exposed to incoming signals of frequency and intensity. So I like neurons are pretty much I think the webbed I'm gonna say things. It's been a while since I had psychology, but because I majored in it, they spoke so much about it. But it's pretty much closing the space in between neurons, and when you have more space in between them, it's the more like flexible your brain is. But when you shrink the space and in between the spaces, you're putting the words of repetition in your brain. You're not going to build them out because it's literally connecting the fibers of your brain. She argues that people in their teenage years and early 20s are more susceptible to persuasion. Well, I'm in my mid 20s, so that ain't working, buddy boy. Taylor explains that brain activity in the temporal lobe, the region responsible for artistic creativity, also causes spiritual experiences in a known process known as lability. All right, let me see what else I wanted to read before I end the video. Cult and the mind-body connection. Let's see. Skipping down. At these conferences, I have met so many intelligent people who have been victims of cults, their families, researchers, and mental health professionals in the US and abroad with expertise in the treatment of those who had been involved in a cult. And one of the main issues about these people, because you could be, doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter how well learned you are. If you have insecurity, a cult is going to make you feel secure. You're looking for love in the wrong place. You don't need to be looking for love by man. That's why I told you. I mean, see, I'm talking like a Mexican again. I told you. No, bro. Like you're looking in love. You're looking for love in the wrong place. You should be looking towards the Most High for love. Right? You shouldn't be looking to anyone for love. The moment someone calls me a prophet or a this or that, I'm gonna curse you out. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, I don't accept that. That's not funny. I don't appreciate that. I don't find that funny at all, because it's very dangerous. Very dangerous. I don't want any glory. I'm just like you guys. I feel more comfortable being, just like you guys, just like my brothers. This is a brotherhood. This is not some sort of rulership dynamic. When Hamashiach walked on this earth, he treated the disciples like his friends. And he is literally the creator. He formed himself into man so that he can understand us and he can walk with us and love us. And we're supposed to be, as men, emulating the same exact spirit. And our wives are supposed to emulate our spirit. We are supposed to, as men, we're supposed to be companions to Matzah, and the sisters are as well. We're all companions to him, but he made man originally to be the companion. That's our created purpose. We are literally supposed to be companions to the Creator. Think about that. Creator wants to be your friend. And you think that I want to rule over any one of my brothers? It makes me sick to my stomach. You think I would ever want any rulership over any of them? No. I mean, it makes me squirm. It's disgusting. Their families, researchers, and mental health professionals in the U.S. and abroad with expertise in the treatment of those who had been involved in a cult. I also met what are known today known as ex-counselors, usually former cult members themselves who left their cult, who will talk of individuals who agreed to speak with them. No kidnapping, as in the deprogramming of years ago. ICSA even has a number of members who were born into a cult. Having high intelligence is no protection from being victimized by a cult. So you think, oh, like you read all of these scriptures about all of these people who were false prophets. And Hamashiach warned you that false prophets are coming. And this person is saying he's exhibiting all of these traits of a false prophet. Right? I want to remind you guys, if the Most High is ordaining your land, you would have plenty of food. The animals wouldn't die. You'd have plenty of heat. The Air Kadeshua would obey you. If you're truly a man of the Most High, there would be no evil among your midst. It wouldn't be like a cliquey high school. Like I've been saying, what cults turn into. It turns into a cliquey high school. It always does, because it started off as a cliquey high school. When you're calling yourself and, two other people, the three witnesses, giving other people titles, knighting people, crowning people, you're just creating a high school environment. And everyone's fighting for power, fighting for more power, trying to get closer to the elder. You think that's righteousness? Are you an idiot? Doesn't make any sense. Now I'm gone, bro. That's enough. Peace be unto you. Shalom. Selah Kala.